Being unattractive is so depressing.
A lot of men believe that if a woman is not their type, that she shouldn't be anybody else's type.
So majority of my life, I've been told I was ugly.
Let's talk about being considered ugly. So, I am not conventionally attractive. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that there's no beauty standard that I check any boxes of. I don't fit the overarching white beauty standard, and I definitely don't fit the black beauty standard, which we know is like light skin, looser hair texture. I have very dark skin, I have distinctly African features, and I have very kinky hair. Now, I'm saying all that, but I don't subscribe to beauty standards anymore. I saw this TikTok once of this girl, and she was like, fuck these beauty standards. I'm my own beauty standard. And I was like, period. I'm going to be my own beauty standard too. But for the sake of this story, we're talking about beauty standards. So I've always been told that I was ugly. It was told to me as a child. It was told to me as an adult. And then I gained a lot of weight, so not only was I ugly, I was fat as well. I honestly didn't like myself very much, and I thought that I was ugly too. And if you think you're ugly, then you're ugly. Now, I've been in therapy for the past 4.5 years, and I've managed to like rewire my brain, so I don't think that anymore. But there is one thing that has been at the back of my mind that I'm bringing to the forefront now. And I really feel like being considered ugly and unattractive has kind of helped keep me safe. Because I used to be really, really naive. And I also had very low self-esteem. And I used to just really want male attention so bad. I used to wish that I was like one of the pretty girls that would get attention. And I was like, oh, it's never me. It's because I'm ugly. But, you know, since I've been on TikTok, when did I get on TikTok? I think I got on TikTok in 2021. And this app has made my world so much bigger and opened my eyes so much. And it's made me aware of the sinister nature, if you will, of men. And now I'm like looking back and I'm like, man, being ugly has like kept me safe. Like the fact that no one has ever wanted me, because I feel like if anybody would have wanted me, I would have been just like, oh my God, I'll do anything, even things that I didn't want to do, like maybe get pregnant, because Lord knows I don't ever want kids, or like maybe marry like a bum or something just to have some type of attention. But because I've never had any of that, like I have just been kept safe. And I say that because I look, you know, at a lot of you women who are telling your stories about things that have happened to you, and I'm just like, I've never experienced any of that. But I'm looking at so many of you tell your stories, and I'm like, I don't want those experiences. I don't want them, and I'm glad that I've never had them. So yeah, I've never been hurt or damaged by a man before because they've just never dealt with me. So I say all that to say, as much as it used to bother me to be considered like ugly and unattractive, now I realize it was my safety net. Like it kept me safe.
There's no amount of plastic surgery that's going to make me beautiful. And it's not because I already think I'm beautiful. It's because I'm a black woman and the beauty standard wasn't made for me. There is no nose thinning, ass slimming, hair straightening cure for me being black. Once you start to deconstruct and understand the politics of beauty, it makes sense why all the Indian actors on American TV are significantly darker than their counterparts on Indian TV. It makes sense why a white woman would get big lips and a big ass, but not a big nose. Curious, huh? And that nose thing didn't come from me. That came from Chode. That shit was fucking brilliant, by the way. All this to say, this current round of discourse regarding beauty standards, the fake outrage for one person's plastic surgery, the fake praise for another person's plastic surgery, isn't actually going to get us anywhere. Because it's not actually the plastic surgery that's the problem. It's everything behind it. and nobody wants to talk about that.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. There are so many women walking around right now thinking they are ugly. And honestly, I think a lot of them were simply convinced they were ugly by the people around them. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Because this conversation goes way deeper than looks. This is about how bullying, rejection, beauty standards, social media, and even childhood experiences can completely change the way somebody sees themselves. In this video, we're going to talk about why so many women struggle with insecurity, why confidence and energy matter more than people admit, how beauty standards especially affect Black women, and why I personally believe a lot of people are way more beautiful than they think they are. We're also going to talk about pretty privilege, self-worth, and how constantly telling yourself I'm ugly can slowly become part of your identity without you even realizing it. Because one thing I've noticed is that some people don't even see themselves clearly anymore. They've been criticized for so long that now they look in the mirror and only focus on flaws. Their nose is too big, their skin is too dark, their body is too big, their hair is too kinky, their face is too masculine. And after years of hearing those things, they start believing them. But honestly, I think attractiveness is deeper than people make it seem. You can have the perfect face and still not attract people because your energy is cold, insecure, bitter, or uncomfortable. And then somebody society calls average walks into a room and everybody notices them because they're confident, funny, warm, authentic, and comfortable with themselves. That matters. And another thing people don't talk about enough is how much beauty standards keep changing. Features people used to get bullied for suddenly become trends later. 1 minute society says certain features are unattractive. Then influencers and celebrities start paying money to copy those same features. So imagine hating yourself over standards that never even stay the same. That's why in this video I really want to talk honestly about self-image, insecurity, confidence, and why I think way too many women are selling themselves short because of opinions that were projected onto them growing up.
A lot of men believe that if a woman is not their type, that she shouldn't be anybody else's type.
As a socially unattractive woman, I feel this on a spiritual level. And not only do they think that no one else should be attracted to you, they also feel like you shouldn't have any dating expectations and you should just be grateful for whoever is trying to talk to you.
This is 100% because men decide that if you are not the beauty standard, you're not even worth humane treatment oftentimes. They've been conditioned in such a way that the world doesn't even treat societally unattractive women correctly. As a woman who is societally unattractive, this is the treatment that we received. We are looked at like, how dare you have standards? How dare you think highly of yourself? You're not even, like, this is mind you, these are subconscious beliefs. They will project onto us and make us feel like we're wrong for saying, hey, actually, you can't treat me like that. You can't cheat on me. No, I have preferences too. And I have standards. They will look at you like, how dare you? You're fat. How dare you? You're ugly. How dare you? So you're pretty much stripped of your humanity when you don't match what society tells people is beautiful. A lot of people are brainwashed. They're caught up in groupthink. So they only want someone who their homeboys agree is attractive. The women only want to hang out with women the world finds attractive. They wouldn't want to be caught with somebody who's not societally attractive. Most people are brainwashed, and that's something we need to remember. So I really don't want y'all to take it personally. If you are a woman who is, or even a man who is societally unattractive, you will be treated differently. And that's just what it is. It's not fair, but it's reality. And you have to learn to get your confidence from within. You have to learn to do your own thing and not be fixated on other people accepting you and accepting your attraction. You are attractive if you decide that that is what you are. But understand that world is going to be separate from the real world that classifies you as someone who is ugly or unattractive. You just have to understand there's a duality to you existing in this plane. It just is what it is. It's unfair, but that's life.
How do you love a face that's been considered ugly your entire life? How do you find a face, your own face, beautiful when everyone else considers it to be ugly? It's not that I think I'm ugly, it's I basically know I'm ugly. How, you may ask? Well, when a boy spits on you and calls you ugly, that's how you know. When the boys in school would ask you out as a joke during their truth or dare games, that's how you know. When the mean girls would ask you to your face, why is your nose so big? That's how you know. When you'd be the only one sitting alone at the table while everyone else has a date for prom, that's how you know. When you're so ugly that people feel the need to come and tell you, you know. I tried to use makeup to beautify myself, but when I put on the eyeliner, all it does is emphasize how one eye is bigger than the other. I put on the lipstick, but all it does is it reminds me of how lopsided my lips are. I put on the contour, but all it does is it reminds me of how big my nose is. It just doesn't work. And then sometimes I think and look into the ceiling in a daze, and I just think that how cruel people are for the simple act of simply being born as an unattractive woman. And some days it hurts knowing that I am going to be nobody's somebody, that I have a lot of love to give, but it will never be received by anyone because they won't notice my warmth. They'll probably notice my asymmetrical face, my PCOS hair basically, and how one nostril is bigger than the other. And I'm pretty sure if I were to find my soulmate, his friends would basically make fun of him. As soon as I leave the room, they'd probably be asking him, like, what are you thinking? Why her out of all people? And I've quietly accepted my fate into this. But then I think about this is that why should I continue to hate my face because everyone else hates it? I agree with everyone. I am, quite hideous. But should I hate it? Like, this hideous face was the face that quietly stood her ground when everyone in school called her ugly. This is the face that fought back tears when no one, asked her to prom. This is the face that accepted all sorts of cruelty. Yes, it is ugly. It is an ugly face. But should I just be as cruel to it as everyone else? I do believe my face deserves some affection from myself, at least, for being all that it's been through, as some sort of reward. Yes, everyone else hates it, but should I really hate it? I think I deserve to be softer on myself, and I'm going to try to spend the rest of my life loving my face, even though there are going to be difficult days. Do I hate this face? Yes, but do I want to waste my life hating it? No.
So majority of my life, I've been told I was ugly. From the time I was a baby, even up into my adult years. When I was a baby, my mom told me this story that there was a relative and they told my mom like I was ugly and I looked like a monkey. Then all throughout like elementary school, middle school, I was called ugly. I actually have a song called Pretty Fades. That's about it. Check it out. All throughout middle school, especially middle school. Oh gosh, middle school is probably the worst for me with that. Like I overheard some girls calling me ugly, this is that and the third. They made a list from prettiest to ugliest in the class, and I was the second to last person, meaning like they put themselves at the top as the prettiest girls in the class, and at the bottom I was the second to last of ugliest people. So I was like, if we would flip it around, there was somebody that was the ugliest person and I was the second ugliest person in the class. Yeah, I honestly have stories for days on that, of scenarios of me being called ugly to my face and behind my back. Those were some super pivotal moments in my life. Being called ugly as an adult, all the things. It's never a good feeling being called ugly by family members, people that are supposed to love you. And you would think like, oh, okay, if I'm around family members, I'm gonna be safer. No, I would get called ugly by certain family members. I also wasn't safe from that type of conversation when I also was not at school. So, you grow up hearing that, you start to believe it, you start to adopt that. And it honestly wasn't until maybe like the last 2 or 3 years that I finally stopped believing it. Like, okay, you're not ugly. I would love to say like, oh yeah, as soon as I gave my life to Jesus, I believed I was pretty. Like, no, I think I've struggled and wrestled with my self-esteem all throughout my walk with Christ. And it's only until like, these last 2-3 years, to really even the last year and a half or so, that I'm like really starting to see myself as God's daughter and beautiful, and, unseeing the things that were spoken over my life. Because when I tell you guys, I really did believe these lies and I took them on as my identity and for who I really was. Getting those like sympathy compliments, like, oh girl, you're not ugly. Like, I wasn't fishing for a compliment. Those were always like, they never felt it. It actually made me really feel uglier. It made me feel like, oh, you gotta tell me I'm pretty because I'm that ugly. I know it was really bad. My self-esteem was like totally warped. Like the enemy spent most of my life trying to tear me down and pull that apart, but like God has been faithful to dismantle those untruths and those lies that I've come into agreement with.
What would happen if we took two women, one who was conventionally unattractive and one who was conventionally attractive, and left them both in the street with flat tires? Well, they already did this exact experiment. They took two girls, Nicole, your conventional blonde, that's what she looks like up close, and Joanne, your stereotypical Glee Club gal, and they threw them both on the street, both paid actors. For Nicole, it only took 2 minutes before some dude stopped and helped her, and 4 other people helped her within 30 minutes too. Meanwhile, for Joanne, our unconventionally attractive girl, people were 3 times less likely to help her and simply walked by her like she didn't exist. And these kinds of studies don't just extend to girls. Guys struggle with it too. Stu is a 5'2" man in this dating experiment, and he could not get the attention of a single woman, no matter how rich he was. All these experiments prove one thing: life does get a little bit easier if you can glow up and go from this to this.
I saw a couple videos talking about this, but I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in on how frustrating it is not to be conveniently attractive in this day and age specifically, and also not knowing anything. So I'm 21. I don't know how to do my natural hair. I don't know how to do makeup. I don't know how to dress. And it's not that I don't want to do these things. I want to, but no one realizes how hard it is, especially like when you ask for help and people are just like, well, do what makes you happy, wear what you want to be happy. But the point is, I want to be happy wearing new things and not look like a fool. I want to wear makeup but not look like a clown. I want to do my hair, but I don't want it to look bad, you know? And when you ask for guidance and stuff like that, it's just so hard. And you try to look up online, and when people don't look like you, they look conventionally attractive, it's so much harder because you're like, this will never look as good on me than it does on them.
As someone who was never considered pretty going to school, and that was usually because I was dark skinned, I'm realizing how much of that played into how I see myself with other people, specifically men now. A lot of my friends have this great way of carrying themselves when it comes to men and entering certain rooms that I've always been like, oh, I love that. That's so beautiful. But I realized that I didn't carry it the same because I was still holding on to the younger version of me that didn't feel like they were attractive enough. Even so, when it came to men approaching me, I felt like I had to entertain them because who knew if it would happen again, because, you know, kind of felt like an ugly girl syndrome. Like it would not happen. It was once in a blue, even to the point of dating attractive men. I was like, damn, how'd I land him? The fuck? But now that I'm older and I am so aware of myself and so aware of all of this and the rest of the body, because I know y'all seen it, I have now come to the point where I'm just like, bitch, what are you doing? But it's in the sense of I'm very proud of myself. I'm like, yes, Fab, now we're aware of who we are. We're aware of how we are presented in this world. So let's change how we do things. So if you are a man that had access to me in a certain way, please know it's now revoked. I know what I deserve. And it's not crumbs. It's not the bare minimum. And it's not bullshit. So I'm sorry to you, but I'm thankful to me. She's aware. If you're a girl that's not aware, a girl, guy, gay, they, whatever, it's okay. It'll take time sometimes, but start looking at yourself in the mirror. Start being aware of how you carry yourself. Start being aware of like, wow, I'm amazing. Why wouldn't somebody want to be with me? So then you can act accordingly and not put up with the bullshit. Because going forward, I'm very much staying present. I'm very much being aware of who I am and what I deserve. And if you cannot come with all the goods, it's been real. Let's be clear. I'm not saying it in the sense of, oh, I'm a gold digger, this, that, and third. I'm saying it in the sense of emotional well-being, feeling safe around you and protected around you, feeling like I actually want to be my full self with you, not parts of myself. And if I don't feel that way, then again, message was for all the girls that have been like me, girls, guys, gays, and theys, that have felt like me and been where I've been. I promise you it'll change. Give it time. But when you enter in that space, I promise you it's going to be amazing. It might be a little bit harder dating, but it's going to be amazing knowing your worth and not putting up with people's BS because you can be done with it that much quicker. That's it. You're welcome. Later.
I grew up being told I was fat, dark, and ugly, and I have literally built my confidence brick by brick. If you struggle with confidence, here are some tips that helped me. Number one, stop being your own bully. The way you talk to yourself and the way you see yourself matters more than anything. So if you're constantly telling yourself that you're not enough, that you don't look good enough, that you're not beautiful, that you're too big, what do you think is going to reflect to the outside world? Exactly that you feel those things. I used to think words of affirmations and like saying good things to yourself was very woo-woo, but that woo-woo is true. What you say, your brain starts to believe. What do you think will happen if you start literally saying out loud the positive? You'll end up believing it. Two is going to be owning your look. If you know there's a part of your body that you are genuinely uncomfortable with,
you don't have to show it. Outside of that, I would say make sure that anytime you are wearing clothes or stepping out the house, not only do you like your fit, but you're also comfortable in it so that you can just move around freely. Third is to take pride in your personal care. I'm not the hygiene police. I'm not about to tell you to shower 3, 4, 5 times a day. I'm not telling you to do that. But what I am saying is that I've found when I've showered, when I've done my skincare and my skin is glowing, I genuinely feel better about myself and I genuinely feel good. Fourth, walk tall. Walk into every room with your head held high. Make eye contact with people when you're having conversations. Smile. Be present because you deserve to be in whatever room it is that you are in and whatever space that you're in. Act like it. Let's be real. You can still do all of these things and still not be received in a way that you like, especially if you are fat. You might get stares. You might get people purposely excluding you out of conversations, especially men. Remove yourself from any room that you genuinely feel like is not safe for your mental health. If there's anything I have learned to do, it is to walk away. Surround yourself with people who think highly of you. One of the things I did as a teenager was self-deprecate because it was almost like I'm going to talk negatively about myself and my size so that you can't. And any friend that I had during that period of time that used to laugh or take joy in the fact that I was self-deprecating, we are no longer friends. I keep myself around people who, in my moments of insecurity, will remind me, you need to stop. You're that girl, who remind me of my beauty, who respect me and demand respect for me, even when I'm not there. Practice your poses, your smile, your posture. I know that sounds very weird and maybe it's just specific to me, but I know that whenever I feel good, I look good, I might just stand in the mirror for a little bit, practice what poses I want to do, where I feel good and I feel cute and I feel confident so that when I'm out somewhere and I have to take pictures, I know exactly what pose is gonna hit. Confidence doesn't mean you'll never feel insecure. It doesn't mean you won't ever question yourself. It doesn't mean you'll always think highly about yourself, but what it does mean is that you don't allow those thoughts to linger for too long. It means doing whatever you can, even in those moments of insecurity, to remind yourself of your value and who you are. I truly hope you know how worthy you are, how beautiful you are, how deserving you are of a good life, how deserving you are to feel confident. I love you guys so much. Bye.
Being considered ugly in this society sounds bad, but actually it's a privilege. First and foremost, you get the element of surprise. See, if you already a diamond and you a bad chick, people already expect you to be top tier. But when you turn up your hair, your makeup, and your fit, your shoe game, when you ugly, everybody be talking about you. You getting all the attention. You're less likely to be in a domestic dispute. You're less likely to be sexually assaulted. You're less likely to be human trafficking. I say a win is a win. Then my favorite part, people just leave you alone. I know you be feeling like, dang, nobody paying attention to me. They're ignoring me. No, but that actually gives you an opportunity to really observe people's behavior naturally. Because you know when people deal with you, you meet their presentation, not the real them. But you get to see how they interact with other people. And then if they circle back to you, you can make a decision then whether you feel like, okay, that person has good character or not. It's almost like being undercover.
I wish there was a way that I could talk about feeling ugly and like people could talk about feeling ugly and unattractive without being accused of being a compliment fish. Because I grew up conventionally unattractive, and I would argue that even now I am still conventionally unattractive. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, so I know that there are people that probably find me attractive, just like there are people that definitely do not find me attractive. But as a society, I think it's really stupid for us to pretend that looks don't matter and don't play a huge role in how we are treated and how we are perceived. Not to mention, especially with what's happening with Love Island right now, look at how much we are talking about how these people look, how we are criticizing their faces, their bodies, the way that they look. We get so comfortable talking about other people's looks, their faces, their bodies, their teeth, their eyelids, right? But the moment that that person acknowledges, hey, I think I'm ugly, I think I'm unattractive, we call them a compliment fisher.
So I was talking to someone the other day about this, and I was like, what? This is crazy. I was talking to them and telling them, I don't think I'm like a conventionally pretty person. Like, I think I'm very pretty, naturally, and whatever. But like, societally, I'm not like a beautiful woman. And they were like, that's nuts. Like, of course you are. You have very feminine features, light eyes, pretty hair. And I was like, so some people define conventionally pretty based on features, while other people, call people conventionally pretty based on like things such as body size, skin color, this, that, and the fifth. So I don't know. It was very confusing. Would this be considered conventionally pretty, or is this just, or am I like, this is literally, I'm just wondering, am I considered conventionally pretty, or am I just like pretty in my own way? Because I'm not ugly. You guys can say I'm ugly all you want, but I'm not ugly. Like, I don't know who hurt you, but I'm not ugly. Anyways, answer my question.
What really made me sad about this video is hearing how deeply words affected these women, especially when it starts young. Children are cruel sometimes. Teenagers can be cruel. And people don't realize that constantly joking about somebody's looks can literally shape how they see themselves for the rest of their life. Some women grow up believing they are unlovable before they even experience real love. And honestly, that's heartbreaking, because some of the women saying they're ugly are absolutely beautiful, like genuinely beautiful. But you can tell insecurity has taken over their mind so badly that they cannot even see themselves clearly anymore. And another thing I kept thinking while watching this is how beauty standards constantly change. 1 minute society says dark skin is too much, then later people tan themselves darker. 1 minute big lips are mocked, then suddenly everybody wants lip fillers. 1 minute natural African features are insulted, then influencers start copying those same features when it becomes trendy. So imagine hating yourself over standards that keep changing every 5 business days. That's why I always say, do not build your self-worth on trends or validation from strangers, because beauty is honestly in the eyes of the beholder. There are people who will look at somebody and think they're the most beautiful person in the world while another person may not see it at all. That's life. There's literally a lid for every jar. And I know some people hate hearing that phrase, but it's true. Everybody is somebody's type. Everybody. The internet has also damaged people's self-image badly. Everybody is editing pictures, using filters, surgery, angles, lighting, makeup, Facetune, and then regular people compare themselves to that every single day. That's dangerous mentally. And another thing people don't talk about enough is how confidence changes perception. The way you speak, the way you dress, the way you treat people, your aura, your humor, your kindness, all of that adds to attraction. Some of the most loved people in the world are not perfect-looking people. People fall in love with energy. People fall in love with personality. People fall in love with how somebody makes them feel. And yes, pretty privilege is real. Society absolutely treats attractive people differently sometimes. That part is true. But I also think people underestimate how much self-hatred affects the way they move through life. When somebody spends years telling themselves, I'm ugly, eventually they stop seeing their own beauty completely. And that's why I respected one part of the video so much, when she said she wants to learn to love her face anyway. That part was powerful to me, because at the end of the day, your face carries you through life. It survives pain, embarrassment, heartbreak, stress, tears, everything. Constantly attacking yourself in the mirror is not going to heal anything. Lead with your heart. Be kind to yourself. Stop selling yourself short. And please stop thinking your worth as a woman begins and ends with whether strangers find you attractive. Because the older I get, the more I realize the people who truly shine are usually the people who accepted themselves first. Anyways, y'all, that's just how I personally feel after watching this video. I really do feel for women who grew up believing they were ugly because those words stick with people for years, but I honestly believe nobody is born ugly. The world may push certain beauty standards, but that does not mean those standards define your value. What do y'all think, though? Do you think attractiveness is mostly physical, or do you think energy and confidence play a bigger role than people admit?